It is 10 o'clock. All right, thank you. Okay. Having reached the hour of 10 o'clock, I'm calling this meeting of the Transportation Committee to order. May we have a roll call?
Colbert. Evans. Here. Garcia. Here. Ozak.
Here?
Onatore.
Here.
Zay.
Here.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
We do not. There was one that was
Okay.
emailed to everybody yesterday, but that was it.
Okay, and by way of chair's remarks, tomorrow we are hosting the Metro Finance and Board meeting. And finance meeting, I believe, starts at 8 o'clock or 8:30, excuse me. 8:30 is that, I think. And the board meeting starts at 10. So if anyone's interested, stop by. All right, no public comment. I move to approve the minutes of our Tuesday, March 4th meeting.
Oh, second.
Any comments or changes? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, next I move to combine and approve items 6A through 6H.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I move for approval of 250661, recommendation for the approval of contract to Hopkins Ford of Elgin Incorporated to furnish and deliver hybrid transmission parts and repair services as needed for the DOT fleet for the period April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $15,000 for renewal option, first of three options to renew. I move for approval of DTP 001525, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Superior Asphalt Materials LLC to furnish and deliver bituminous paving materials and UPM bituminous cold patch as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $65,000. First of three options to renew. I move for approval of DTP 001625, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Vulcan Construction Materials LLC to furnish and deliver coarse and fine aggregates as needed for the Division of Transportation, $40,000, and Public Works, $30,000, period April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026, for a contract total not to exceed $70,000 per lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTP 001725, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Ozinga Ready Mix Concrete Incorporated to furnish and deliver Portland cement concrete as needed for the Division of Transportation, $50,000, and Public Works, $25,000 for the period of April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $75,000 per lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTP 001825, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Plochik Construction Incorporated to furnish and deliver bituminous paving materials for the Western region as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period April 1st, 2025 through April 31st, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $100,000 per lowest responsible bid, second of three options to renew. I move for approval of DTP 001925, recommendation for the approval of a contract to DuPage Asphalt Company to furnish and deliver bituminous paving materials for the Central region as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $120,000 per lowest responsible bid, second of three options to renew. I move for approval of DTP 002025, recommendation for the approval of a contract to K5 Construction Corporation to furnish and deliver bituminous paving materials for the Southeast region as needed for the Division of Transportation, $120,000, and Public Works, $24,000 for the period April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $144,000 per lowest responsible bid, second of three options to renew. And I move for approval of DTP 002125, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Lakeside International LLC to furnish and deliver one 2026 International Truck MV607 with service body as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period March 26, 2025 through March 25th, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $398,875, contract pursuant to Intergovernmental Cooperation Act. I have a second. Good morning. Good morning. And we have a corporate. Anyone have any comments, questions about any of these contracts? Okay, hearing no comments or changes, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next, I move for approval of DTR 000325, intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Lyle Township Road District for the Lyle Township 2025 Road Maintenance Program. No county cost.
Second.
Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have a discussion on the reappropriation of impact fees. Take it away, Mr. Todd.
Absolutely. So we're gonna let Gerald come up and go through this PowerPoint with you. As you may recall, impact fees were abolished. And so we've got to deal with the current funds that have been collected and spending down the remaining balance. And Gerald, take it away.
Hi, good morning. As Steve was mentioning, we repealed the impact fee program back in May 2023. And right now we're just doing cleanup work in which we can establish new accounts in which we can move the funds over to new transportation accounts. And we have more guidance by the state. Going through your slide, to start off, we have the history of the impact fee programs on impact you guys received. The history of the program, it was established in November 1988 to pay for highway capacity improvement programs across the county when the county was still in development. Since it was established over 38 years, the program collected over $70 million for throughout the county. The fees were assessed on new residential and commercial developments and redevelopments. These fees were allocated within 10 separate accounts to pay for the highway capacity improvements within the 9 districts, as well as having administrative account established to cover related costs for maintaining the programs across all 9 districts. Any fees that were not, along with the program itself, any fees that were not encumbered for improvement program within 5 years of collection from a entity were eligible to be refunded back to the either customer or whoever's developing the area, as long as they have, after a 5-year period passed, they have 1 year to get a signed affidavit saying that they would like to reflect their fees, and we had to establish have we use their fees for a project or not. If a project has occurred that used the funds within that district, they weren't eligible for refund. If it wasn't used, we would refund them their money. Go
On slide 3.
to slide 3. Going off that, going to slide
Your
3,
page.
as we had the repeal of the impact fees and the statutory changes. So May 23rd, 2023, the county board passed the ordinance that any collection of all fees, we still utilize the fees as they previously been established. So the rules remain the same as previously held in place. On January 1st, 2025, the state passed, we worked with the state to get statute passed in which allowed DuPage County to reallocate their funds into our own transportation accounts. So they no longer had to stay within these impact, and stay independently within the impact fee accounts. They can be used for very specific transportation activity, specifically by the statute. They are allowed to use for capacity related improvements. While this passed, we still have the requirements to have the lapse fee program still be in place. So since program was terminated as of May 23rd, 2023, they have 5 years plus 1 year to recollect the fees. So the latest that anybody will be eligible for a refund would be May 23rd, 2029. Then on the next slide is slide 4. Currently, DOT, we've been actively since last year and beginning of this year, been working with various departments within the county. We've been working with state's attorney, finance, the treasurer, and the auditor's office to establish what's any risks that we might have, anything concerns that we have about transferring these funds over to these new accounts. Our plan for doing so would be bring forward resolution to both the committee and the county board to reappropriate the funds and establish new budgets for these accounts. And to remain transparent as possible for these 10 accounts, for these accounts that we'll be transferring into 10 similar accounts, which will be 9 transportation accounts, which still broke up into the 9 districts, while also establishing the same one administrative account. This will allow us to allow us on both the DOT side and on larger side to manage to track spending easier to see where spending's going for each project, while at the same time it's easier to understand where if someone's eligible for a refund, it's easier to narrow down saying that you got has their time lapse for their refund period and if they're able to reclaim on that money. Additionally, all these accounts, they have investment earnings coming from it. They've been having that since we even stopped collecting on. We've been collecting investment income. That's the only revenue these have been generating. The way we're going to be doing going forward is all investment income is going to be allocated towards the new admin accounts. So all those anything investment income wise is going to be going there, and it's all it's going to be used for is just what we potentially used it for, which would be for administrative costs, accounting, and contractual expenses. And then on the final slide, just to kind of reiterate how we're planning to utilize the funds. As the state statute clearly states, we're only allowed to use these for capacity related improvements within the county. The statute does not require us, the remainder of the funds to be utilized specifically by district, by district, by district. However, we choose, like, from our opinion, it's best to just keep it that way, to say that we'll still keep funds being spent by district unless otherwise guided, unless directed otherwise by board members saying that if you guys feel the project should be, could be supplemented with other funds from a different area. And again, the county will continue to comply with statute in other ways, which includes us publishing our annual report and the Daily Herald in March and uploading those to the DOT doing business impact webpage. And that's about covers it. Any questions?
Member Sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, a couple of questions here. Thank you for the overview of the project. So on slide 1 or 2 and on slide 4, you reference 9 respective county districts. So, and then you have the 10 transportation accounts based on the 9 districts in the water administration. So my first question is, do you mean 6 districts or do you really mean 9 districts?
Oh, sorry, I meant the nine.
It's the 9 townships. and
Oh, the
one
9
Now
townships.
township districts. I
So
should
we're
clarify
talking
that.
about town, was anybody else confused by that or not?
Okay, that's.
Townships, got it, okay, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you were reading districts or the slide 4, you said the money would be moving to the new building account?
To the new transportation,
The new transportation building
Yeah,
at Fairgrounds?
not the building,
No.
these are gonna be transportation, so the funds currently send impact fee accounts, these will be synced into essentially our current, similar to our gas accounts, but these are gonna be in their own section within the gas accounts, so they're gonna be 10 accounts within that, so they're gonna be synced within our other funds, but allocated separately, so we can easily track and manage the funds, so we know that anything we spend towards it, we keep up.
Yeah, I love it. We're choosing to keep the money allocated into 10 accounts like it had been,
Okay.
so that we can track
And
where
how much
things are
money
being.
is there?
About 6.5 million of the original 70 that was collected. So we have spent down a large portion of this and we continue to spend it down on the appropriate development related improvements that have gone on. And when I would suspect when a township runs out of money, if there's an improvement there that would be eligible, we would bring that back to the committee and let you know that we are either going to move maybe admin fee funds from that 10th pot, or we would then consider whether, because the statute will allow us to combine it. We chose not to, so we could better track.
Okay, one more question real quick, and that is, you said state statute, we can use the money for capacity related improvements.
Sure.
What is that? What are capacity related improvements?
I might.
Yeah, so capacity related improvement, we're talking about highway capacity. So number of cars we can move down a lane or through an intersection or some other thing. So it would be a determination of whether, so we wouldn't want to necessarily do a study of something, but we could easily say adding a right turn lane at a signalized intersection would improve the capacity of that intersection.
And Stephen, how will these townships know that the money's available for them? Do they? Are you gonna send out an email?
The developers that put the money into the pot have, basically, they know they've put that money in the pot. And it's our job to obligate that against a project and then expend it. And so if it hasn't been done after 5 years, then they have this period of time for a year where they can sign an affidavit and ask for their refund.
So that could still be part of this, where we've got developers coming back to look for their.
Correct. That's part of why we're choosing to track it the way we're tracking it. In case somebody comes back and says, you didn't spend my money, we'll know whose money it's not.
And should we be able to, if a project was to come up, for instance, on the paths, is that something that we could on the trails?
Cannot.
It has to be
This money
highway
is
related.
so restricted, which is one of the advantages in getting rid of it. It's very difficult to spend. It has to be capacity related
Okay.
in that district where the developer built, and they have some constitutional rights tied to that. So if we spend it just a little bit different than that, they can come back and get it from us. Yeah.
So it's truly impact capacity.
Yes, it
Really?
truly is.
Okay.
It truly was. Their development impacted that specific area.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Zay.
Thank you. Can we get a breakdown of what is in each district?
Yeah, we have those numbers. I can get that to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Because I think that's the only fair is to spend it where the impact was made.
Yeah.
Right.
And Revens.
I think everybody asked most of the questions that I had, but one of them is, so would capacity building also include, like, if you want to update the algorithm on the intersections, the signals on the intersections?
You could probably make that case. I think we might prefer to see infrastructure as opposed to the signal timing, but signal timing, you could argue that adjusting that for current conditions is improving capacity. I'd rather see it on actual infrastructure personally. I think it's just an easier argument.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Great job. Thank you, Gerald. Any other questions about this? Any other question? Okay, any old business? Any new business? Okay, hearing none, I'm adjourning the meeting. Thank you.